Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel every day leading up to Halloween. It chooses the horror movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1960's Eyes Without a Face, which was directed by Georges Frangieux. I am your co-host, Alec.
I'm Eric, and with us again is Peter Getz. Peter, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Alec, you really sound like one of those voiceover podcast guys.
Yeah, I am. I'm a voiceover podcast guy. I guess you could say that. But yeah, welcome back, Peter. Dude, we haven't seen you in was it 2 years?
It'd be 2 years in April, right?
Yes, exactly. It was April 2021 when I was stranded in New York for a bit while I was waiting for my visa.
Right.
Yeah, we did Rambo, our First Blood Part 1,
yeah,
which was a lot of fun. I actually listened to some of that episode again and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Peter, I remember you writing the lyrics down to the end song and being so enamored with with the lyrics from that movie. You remember that?
Yes, and I remember researching the knife because I saw that it had a credit in the film, and I had to go back and figure out why was a knife credited in the film, but it was a pretty important knife, so I get why.
Huh. Market that shit, print Rambo on it, sell it for a lot of money. That's what we got to do. That's what it's about.
Well, now we're talking about another movie with a lot of knives. We're talking about an early 60s French film called Eyes Without a Face. Or actually, Peter, would you mind trying to pronounce it in French?
It is called Je suis don't know how to say without a face in French.
It's pretty good.
That was not bad. That was good.
I guess right off the bat, none of us have ever seen this, right?
No, not me at least.
Yeah, Eric, I'm gonna assume no.
I've seen this 100 times. No, I haven't seen it once. No, this is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. So the way that I kind of came across this film is there's a Billy Idol song called Eyes Without a Face. And I listened to it years ago. And for some reason, I just thought it was a really cool song. They sing in French, just the words Eyes Without a Face. And I was like, all right, well, I want to see, what's up with the song? What the hell does this mean? So I looked up the song, and apparently it's about this movie. And I was just like, all right, well, what's this movie then? So I looked into that. And it sounded like the most horrific sort of hostile almost kind of movie, but it's from the 60s. So I was like, how intense could this really be? And this was my first time actually watching it too. And I got to say, there's a couple scenes that I was like, yeah, this was pretty damn brutal.
Yeah, and definitely for the 60s, the scare factor, the horror factor is there. It is there because the scene where he's peeling off the person's face.
Yeah.
The special effects, yeah, they're today's standards, sure, but back then, it'll probably give you goosebumps.
I can't even imagine if you saw this in theaters, what you would have walked out of the theaters.
Gasping and everything. Yeah.
Just oh my God, they're actually peeling her face off. Oh my God.
All the French words, oh, suck le bleu.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, Peter, what did you think coming away from this?
When I was first watching it, I was like, this film is not really scary. It's just about this poor woman that has a problem with her face that we're also apparently not allowed to see. And 15 minutes in or so, I was like, wow, this is the least scary thing of all time. And then he has that other woman, and I was like, oh great, the surgery went well, and she has a face again. And then realized no, this is a different woman. And then he was talking about taking her to the suburbs, and then from there it just went really bad.
Mm. Yeah, did you guys like it? I'm kind of curious because it's got an unbelievable reviews. So scary factor, I guess, kind of, but I don't know. Did you guys enjoy it?
I did. It reminded me a lot of Frankenstein, Pet Sematary. I know we just recently did Therese the Zalek, but with the harvesting organs and taking from other bodies for other people. But Frankenstein reminds me of a mad scientist, and Pet Sematary reminds me of what a parent would do for their kid, and how far they would go to save their child. Even though this what's it, Christina? How do you say it?
It's Christian.
Yeah, she's alive, but she's just so miserable and would rather be dead than have the face that she has. And it's such a cool idea, and it you can see other things deriving from this. Not that Frankenstein's way before this, but you know what I mean? You can see other movies and stuff picking from this and this from other films as well, and books. So it's a cool concept. I like it.
Like Face Off with Nicolas Cage.
There is another one. Yeah, Face Off. It also reminded me of Vanilla Sky with the mask that Tom Cruise wears in that movie when he mangles his face in a car accident.
That's a good point. Yeah, I did forget about that, actually.
Which is like a French thing, too. There's a lot of French ties to Vanilla Sky. But anyway, Peter, what were you saying, Alec?
Oh, no, I was just curious what Peter thought of it.
Yeah, Peter.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really beautifully shot. I think we sort of skip over, I think, a lot of the films from the 60s, but they all have that film noir look. Like it's almost like they all hired the same cinematographers and the same lighting people or something for all of those films from that era, because they all kind of have that like spooky sort of like everybody looks kind of like a criminal or like a beauty star in that light.
Yeah.
I was very drawn in by the film, and like it hit at a good time, I think, for me to watch the film too, because I've been thinking about the way that things look nowadays and comparing it, I think, in my brain to like the beautiful black and white films from the 60s and from the 50s, and thinking about how like kind of like everything kind of looks like crap now compared to that.
Black and white films are just shot differently. You know, the lighting that goes into a black and white film, you're either lit or you're not in a black and white film, and it plays such a big role in black and white films, and this movie does a great job with the lighting, and I was really focusing on that, and also the fade-ins in between scenes, like going from something heavy that just happened to like, oh, now she's walking to the town, and it's a lost art. There's not a lot of black and white films these days, obviously.
Well, I guess a question then, because Peter, you saying everything looks like shit now. What if there was a movie like Nebraska or something like that is shot in black and white that comes out now? Do you still think it kind of looks like shit? Or do you think it was just like, the 60s just looked cleaner? Everyone was in suits, like there wasn't nose piercings. I don't know.
Like, what is it? The frame rate, the lighting, the acting? Like, what is it?
Okay, so I think that's a great question. It's sort of hard to qualify because it's almost like it could be because we have less expectations of a film that we know was made in the 60s. And so like the fact that it was made at all and that it looks good is such a huge thing. Or is it because like nowadays it's like, yeah, it's a black and white film, but like that guy has a nose piercing, and it's the quality of like people today that make it not as good. Also, I've never heard of Nebraska, but like that sounds like a terribly boring film.
Wow, Bruce Dern got nominated. I think he won Best Actor for that movie.
Yeah, that was an Academy Award winning film for sure.
Peter shit the bed on this one. Can I say shit?
Peter,
you're swearing on here too now, Peter
pooped the bed on that one.
No, but it is true though, dude. Like every black and white movie, especially older films like Psycho and this is actually from the same year as Psycho, everything just looks better. It just looks cleaner, and people look. I mean, even though everybody's smoking cigarettes, like everybody just looks better still.
Somehow.
Yeah, I agree with you though, Peter. I really do. I just think that older films, we do give them a little bit of a pass, but the one thing I look at this film is I'm like, it's got a really good story, regardless of, because I feel like movies from the 60s, they basically are like, all right, let's show her walking from the car into the house, taking her jacket off and like opening up. It's just like, there's no cuts. It's just like a lot of long takes, and we're seeing everything these people do.
I didn't get that from this. Yeah.
No. But really quick, I just want to give a quick overview of the plot for this in case people haven't seen it, which I'm assuming most haven't. Basically, there's a doctor in France, in Paris, and his daughter and him got in a terrible car accident. He mangled his daughter's face beyond recognition. So yes, he faked her death so that he could essentially capture young women that kind of look like her, remove their faces, and try to apply it to his own daughter's face. So he's a well-respected doctor. Nobody really expects this of him. And he has this little assistant woman who I'm kind of confused about, and I want to know if you guys can kind of clear this up. So he has this is going to sound terrible, but he has his Ghislaine Maxwell. He's got the person that goes out and basically tries to like capture these young girls. Well, no, but is that not what it is?
Oh, here we go. Well, Alec, to clear up your confusion, he did this kind of surgery to her, and that's why she wears those pearl necklaces, because she has such a terrible marking there. But he made her look beautiful, and that's why she tries to instill like hope in Christian and let her know, like, hey, look what he did for me. Like, he can, and that's why she's so loyal and doing all this shit too.
Right. But here's my question. Here's what I'm confused about. So that woman, his Ghislaine, her face isn't getting all like messed up. Like it's not rotting or whatever. Because they do successfully get a new face on Christian, and it starts like, falling off within, it's like day 20. It looks like shit, like sort of thing. So why didn't that happen to her?
Yeah, and that's kind of where this movie starts off with. It starts off with him giving a seminar about this kind of procedure and how our bodies react to foreign things. And it's kind of like when you put A positive blood in someone who's like B negative, you can't do that because the body rejects it.
Right.
So that's what he's trying to do. And this is the point though. Like today's medical, it's there. Back then, whatever year this is supposed to be, is it 1960, 62? I don't know, but the technology isn't there, and he's also bitter about this. Like, we should be further along, because in the beginning you see him give the seminar, and these like two women come up to him like, oh my god, like, it's so amazing, I'm so looking forward to the future, and he's like, it should already be here by now.
Right.
So he's pushing this technology way too fast, and the risks involved are what makes this movie interesting, because yeah, it worked for the I'm not going to say Maxwell, but it worked for her, but his daughter, he can't get it to hold,
Why? So that's my question.
Because her body somehow is rejecting it. It's just nature at that point.
All right.
It's like maybe the Maxwell woman has like the universal donor kind of blood, and it works. And you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it's like kind of like that.
Well, say that. I needed that.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, Alec. I'm trying to
Peter,
figure it out. Peter, what do you got?
I think that there's a strong possibility that they're bringing morals into the face grafting. What were they calling it? Heterograft. And I think that the daughter, she had too strong of morals, and so her face was what's the word? Her like face pustules or whatever. We're not accepting other people's faces that were like going through this horrific process of having their face removed and then given to her.
It was rejecting the foreign body.
Yeah. I don't know what to call your face when you don't have a face on it. Like, I'm struggling to find the word. Like, is it just
muscles?
Yeah. Is it just face muscle?
I mean, probably. But okay, so what you're saying is like she's so disgusted with the fact that her father's doing this that like her body is like, I can't even do this sort of thing. So you think it's more of like her brain is rejecting and not the body?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you said it exactly right. I think that there's a bit of like her body is doing a moral judgment thing and saying, I'm not going to accept this face that's coming, off another.
I like that.
Unsuspecting.
And then Ghislaine Maxwell is just bad, so that's why her face was able to accept the other woman. Okay, and that's the other thing. I wanted to know why this doctor helped this woman, and why this woman's now like, I'm going to quit my job and go capture women for you. Like, you really saved my face back there, so now I'm completely indebted to you, including murder.
Well, he probably had to murder someone for her.
Yeah, so but that's the thing. I want to know that story. So I want to know the prequel story. I want to see eyes with a face,
You want to see the eyes before without a face.
Right. That's the title, Eyes Before Without a Face. Yeah. So really quick, back to the black and white thing again. The one scene that really stood out to me, that was in black and white, obviously, it's the most famous scene in the movie, is when they're cutting off that first woman's face. And that blood, as they're like, cutting around her chin or whatever, the blood just starts dripping. It's just like, it's like black. That scene just like, ugh, I don't know. And they're just like getting like the scalpels out and like holding it in place as they're doing it. It literally looks like Saw or Hostel, but in black and white and sexy and everybody smoking,
Very risky for the time. Almost too graphic, if you think about it. Way too graphic.
People were freaking out about Psycho, and they don't even show anything. I mean, they never show a knife actually hit anybody. They never show actual wounds or anything like that.
They just show like blood going down the drain.
Right, and it's chocolate, obviously. But this is like, hey, we're gonna like literally show you a woman's face getting torn off surgically.
What year was Psycho?
They're both 1960, both of these movies.
Oh well, there you go. That's crazy.
So I don't know. French people are just like, we don't really care. It's fine.
It kind of reminds me of that famous short film or whatever it was that Salvador Dali did with the eye in it. I don't know if there was any crossover or what the timing was of both of those videos or anything, but there's, they've had the same feeling of like, this is a little too close to the face and there's a lot happening. And now there's blood, and not sure how I feel about all this.
Right. I mean, geez, we kind of take stuff like this for granted nowadays. Like we're just like we're so desensitized to swearing and nudity and violence and all this stuff. But geez, man, like you think about it, like I think what was it, the Flintstones were the first time there was ever like a couple in the same bed, like stuff like that. Like, and that was after this sort of thing. So like kind of crazy to think that they're going to show a woman's face literally getting torn off, a man also later in the film getting eaten alive by dogs until he dies. I mean, pretty brutal stuff here. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed this film.
There would be no Dahmer movie without Eyes Without a Face, Alec, or Dahmer show probably.
Is that a good thing?
I mean, dude, if you watch Dahmer, I don't want to get into that too much, but like, dude, it's as graphic and crazy as you can be, but like, it's one of the most watched shows on Netflix, and it's like, why? And it's like, because people want to see this kind of shit. That's why.
Damn.
It's a weird, like, human nature kind of thing. Like, I want to see messed up stuff. And this movie is probably one of the first ones to push the limit. Pushing it. They're pushing it in this one.
Seriously. I can't think of a movie before this that would ever even try to show stuff like this. Another question I had then for you guys is, what's up with these dogs?
Why does he have all these dogs? He has like doves too, and like birds. Maybe he's experimenting with dogs, or like testing on like animal testing. I don't know. Taking a bird's beak and putting it on a dog's face or something. I don't know.
I honestly was very confused by the dogs. That era, for some reason, there's a viciousness of dogs that's featured in a lot of films from that era, but I can't remember any film that had as many dogs in it as this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's notorious. Like people are like, hey, don't film with animals, don't film with babies, like stuff like that. This guy's like, nah, I want like 50 dogs. Like, get them in here.
Like German Shepherd, like big ass tear you apart dogs.
Well, the only thing I could think of is, and I want to see if maybe you guys agreed, is there seemed to be a scene where it looked like he was like shaving a square off of like the German Shepherd, and I was wondering, is he gonna like cut the German Shepherd's like stomach and then like try and attach that to his daughter's face? Like,
I think it's animal testing. Yeah, I think that was the idea. Is he's testing skin graft and stuff like that, and what's rejecting and what's sticking.
So a dog's like, side, like rib skin, it's like, all right, we'll put that on her face. I don't know.
Dogs are probably easier to get than like chimpanzees, but that's just my take.
Or human.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the way the movie really ends is kind of, I mean, it's probably the best case scenario. It's like the doctor gets eaten alive by his German shepherds. The assistant gets stabbed in the throat by Christone, who basically is like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I don't care about my face looking like this.
And she freed that last girl who was going to get her face ripped off, right?
That's right. So like one girl escapes. Actually, the two girls escape, and both the bad guys die. So like,
well, the one other girl that escaped fell to her death.
Right. She smashed Ghislaine Maxwell in the head.
Because she probably couldn't see because she was like, she had a face and bandages and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's dark.
It kind of reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where she runs out the window.
Busts through the window. Yeah.
Right. But she survives. She lands in like grass or whatever. And this girl's like, nah. Which kind of, I don't know. It was kind of anticlimactic that's how it ends, for her at least. But yeah, this definitely reminded me of like an earlier Saw, probably just because, I don't know, just the graphicness of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It makes me want to watch like a lot of older films and just kind of like take away the plot, like there's things you have to overlook. It's just never going to be as good. But I really enjoyed the story.
Couldn't agree more. And Alec, how many other 60s movies have we done on the wheel? I know we did Rosemary's Baby 2 years ago, and that was
Psycho.
Fantastic film. We did Carnival of Souls, which I think is 1960 or 62.
Yep. And The Birds.
So, The Birds, yeah. Peter, you might like Carnival of Souls. That has like that same black and white goodness that you're talking about. I think you'd really enjoy that one. It's short. It's unique though too.
Yeah,
give that one a go.
Definitely into that.
Yeah, and I want to know, like, the 60s, obviously none of us were alive and we can't ever look back, but like it just seems like every movie from the 50s, 60s, you're kind of like, oh, it's pretty good. But do they think they have like a Medea of the 60s, or like the Ernest films of the 60s? Like, you're like, it's shit, but like it's fun. Do you think they have those?
Like Pink Panther, maybe?
Were those bad though? I feel like those were all like good.
Ernest is good. What are you fucking talking about?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Is there... You're like serious?
I am serious.
Didn't they have a Revenge of the Pink Panther though? that wasn't as good.
Yeah, they have Revenge of the Pink Panther, Son of the Pink Panther, like Circumcision of the Pink Panther. It's just
No, don't say it.
they're all over the place with those movies. I don't know. So
I took 3 years of French. I was gonna say I didn't know a lick of what they were saying
I picked up
in middle school. I mean, you picked up a little things.
a couple things. I've been doing Duolingo French quite a bit.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, I really have. So certain words I do pick up, especially with the subtitles. Like, it's so much easier when the English subtitles come up at the bottom and then you can see what it's translating.
What does omelette du fromage mean?
Omelet with cheese?
That's right, Dexter's Laboratory. What's gâteau? Do you know what gâteau is?
Cake?
That's right. All right. Okay, Alec. Okay. That's all I know in French. I took 3 years of my life, classes.
I know more than I think I let on. I really do.
Beyond Venu is like welcome, right?
Yeah, it's welcome. Yep.
I took 5 years of French, and I can't speak a lick at this point, and it's I don't understand when I watch movies and everything. So I wasted 5 years of my life.
I'm 3, man. I'm with you.
But I also just want to say, Eric, I don't know if you're aware, but there are multiple actresses still alive in this movie.
From 1960. Holy crap. I didn't really look up the cast. I just assumed. I know the doctor passed away because he's the only one I really looked up, but.
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
Let's look. So is Christian?
She's dead. I looked her up. She's dead. But honestly, all the other women are still alive. Not the Ghislaine Maxwell woman and not Christian. Wait, actually, I think Christian is alive. No, she's not. She died in 2019. Damn. But Edna and the first girl who get captured, they're both still alive. They're like 93 now.
That's wild. Yeah, dude. And I always say this when we were doing an old film, Peter. I'm like, respect your elders. Respect your elders.
Yes.
Love the old films because they kicked off a lot more than you'd give them credit for.
Something else that I want to note about that I was thinking about when I was watching the intro to this film. I love how these older films, especially from the 60s and before that, they like start with the title cards and then they have like this really dramatic music that sort of like sets the tone. And it's like, it gets the vibes right for like watching a film instead of like just popping right into it and then slapping a title card on the screen and not even telling you who made the film and then getting right into it. Like, I like that you get to know everything about who made the film, who wrote it, who's the camera person, like long before you even get a first shot.
That's a lost art too. They don't do that a lot anymore.
Well, do you know the first movie to really like to not do that and it got a lot of shit for it? It's a huge movie, one of the most popular movies of all time.
Gone with the Wind.
Star Wars.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So almost every movie before Star Wars was exactly like what you're talking about, Peter. They would have to show every single credit first, and George Lucas is like, "Nah, we're just jumping right into the action." And then since then, it's pretty much been like that ever since. But it is disrespectful. It's like people, the second the credits roll, they're like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. And they just like leave the theater. And you're like, oh, okay. So all those people who put in so much work get no credit.
Like 3 minutes of rolling text of people, just no one sits through.
I always sit through the credits.
I do too, Peter. I do now.
I mean, unless I really hate
it. Well, Marvel movies, you kind of have to because who knows what's at the end of it.
Oh, God.
I'm joking.
Yeah, well, do you guys know The Lord of the Rings, the extended edition, has like 20 minutes of extra credits?
I believe it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to imagine if they did that for this movie. Maybe that's why they have to switch, because they're like, we can't do 20 straight minutes of credits, guys. Before the movie's no one's going to stay. Doesn't matter how good the music is. No one's going to stay. Speaking
of music, I got to say this. I wasn't a huge fan of the music in this. It sounded like I was going to like a parade. Like, right? Did anyone pick that up? I was like,
it sounded like Curb Enthusiasm. It was like Curb Enthusiasm a bit.
Not far from it, but it definitely not scary. But kind of reminded me of Carnival of Souls again, with like carnival music almost.
Right. I thought that it did not. That the music didn't really set the right mood for being a horror film, and like I think that's part of why. 15 minutes in, I was like, is this going to get scary?
All right, let me ask you guys, though. Is this a horror film? Or is this more of like a thriller?
It's a horror film, and it's gory, too. I give it gore horror.
What do you think, Peter? Would you classify this as a horror film?
I think it's horror because you know what's going to come. You know what's happening from the very beginning, and it's just about timing of this doctor abducting another girl and taking her face off.
Yeah, and I guess straight from the title, you're like, eyes without a face. I mean, I don't know. What did you guys think that meant when you heard that? Did you guys have any idea?
Actors going under the knife, like plastic surgery.
That's what you thought it was?
Like no. I don't know. It's a good title.
Yeah, Peter. When I was like, "Hey, you want to watch this movie?" Did you think like, what is this movie about?
I picked it because I thought it was going to be one of those really campy, bad horror films where like it was just eyes and there was no face, and it was just like following people around, and like, you know, something would happen to a body, but you wouldn't really see what would happen because it's an invisible thing that just has eyes and maybe like a trench coat or something.
I actually love that. So you literally thought it was like a B-50s horror movie with just eyes attacking.
I didn't know it was from the 50s either. I thought maybe it was like one of those 80s films like Halloween 5 or something like that.
Eyes without a face. That's pretty funny, actually.
Like I think of plastic surgery. Like, have you ever looked at like Joan Rivers with plastic surgery? That's eyes without a face. Like her eyes are there, and like that's not your face.
Yeah.
That's a good point too. That actually, yeah, somebody that gets like too much plastic surgery and they're unrecognizable. They're just eyes without a face. Yeah.
Michael Jackson, definitely eyes without a face. That guy.
Yeah. Damn.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah. He is. He should be the one who plays the eyes without a face in my campy horror film.
Dude, they need to remake this. I mean, they probably could.
There is a film that was like 2021 or something like that has the same name, but I doubt it's the same premise.
Yeah. There's a movie I just covered with Justin called Goodnight Mommy, which has Naomi Watts, and her face is covered up the entire movie too. So right when it started, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is a remake, but it's not. But it is kind of, to your point, Eric, it's about a actress who gets all this plastic surgery done, and she's got to cover her whole face up so you just see her eyes. So I was like, both of you guys really impressed me.
Look at us, Peter. We're impressing Alec.
Yeah. You made me laugh, Peter, and Eric, you made me think.
This is one of my prouder moments. I just want to mention, have either of you seen Faces of Death?
No. I know exactly what it is. I have not seen it. Have you seen it, Peter?
I went to a party once and they were just playing it like in the background. And so I've seen it via that, but I didn't actively watch Faces of Death. But
what kind of party was this? Who the fuck would put that on in the background?
Weird.
I don't know, man. I've seen some weird parties with weird stuff on in the background. So,
what kind of party was this?
Is
it like a bad thing to have one on the background?
Yeah. Let him finish. We'll tell you what it is, Eric.
Sorry, Peter.
It was like a Houston hipster party, and they sometimes these parties go in like one of those weird directions. I remember there was another one of these like same parties run by the same people that were showing the film. I don't know if you guys know it. I think it's called like Solo 69 or something like that, and it's another really, really horrific film that I don't recommend anybody watch.
I haven't even heard of that one, but Faces of Death, Eric, I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. It's basically a collection. I want to say there's maybe 5, and they all just they were like viral videos in the late 80s of real murder and real animals getting killed and real people jumping off of buildings, and it was just this like, I mean, now with YouTube, it's like, I'm sure you can find stuff like that a lot easier, but back in then it was called Faces of Death 1, Faces of Death 2, and there's like monkeys getting electrocuted to death, just like the worst things you could ever see. You never heard of those, Eric?
No, but sounds like my kind of party. I mean, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to go. When's the next party?
Yeah, the Houston hipster party.
Jesus. Holy shit, what is wrong with people?
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes back to my point about Dahmer. Like, why is this the number one show on Netflix? I'm barely through episode 4. I'm like, I can't bring myself to watch this shit anymore, man.
Well, if you're interested in Dahmer, you should listen to our Fresh Film Friday episode that came out a couple weeks ago.
I know. I want to once I finish the show. I mean,
yeah, no. It is pretty. Have you seen that, Peter?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen the Dahmer show?
No.
Peter.
Is it?
Up, man.
It's about Jeffrey Dahmer, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's pretty messed up. But I don't know. I mean, obviously that really happened, but it is a dramatized version of it where like Faces of Death is like legitimately like that's a guy jumping off of a building, like, and that's
messed up. That's really
bad. The other film was called Solo 120 Days of Sodom, so you can imagine what that film is about.
Oh my goodness, we don't need to go there. I can only imagine.
Oh man,
I can only imagine what that's about. That's horrible.
Jesus Christ.
What parties are you going to, Peter? What is this? Like,
what is Houston like?
I'll invite you guys to the next Houston hipster party.
Yeah, let me FaceTime in and just like. everyone.
This guy's FaceTiming in to watch Faces of Death. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah.
We got to spin the wheel.
I was gonna say, Eric,
I cut you off. I've been cutting everyone off today. But yeah, you want to spin the wheel? We only have, I think, 2 episodes left.
2 left, yeah.
Spinning. Yeah, it's pretty tight. Nope. Spirit Halloween.
Oh.
It's
So yeah, so Spirit Halloween. All right, I can only guess.
I have no idea. what this is gonna be.
Well, I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's bad. But hey, maybe I'll be surprised.
Well, if it's anything like the store, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess. But thank you, everybody, for listening to our episode today on Eyes Without a Face. If you haven't had a chance, we have so many episodes coming out every day this month in October, so you can check those out.
Alec, do you want to mention our sponsorship, too?
So, yeah, if you've made it this far into the month, you've probably been noticing we've been getting a lot more ads in every episode. So we have partnered with iHeartRadio, which has been awesome. So, yeah, we're still on Spotify, we're still on iTunes, we're still everywhere you can get us, but we have partnered specifically with iHeartRadio, so they'll be dictating what ads you guys listen to. Thank you, iHeartRadio, and thank you all for listening in, and we will see you all tomorrow with Spirit Halloween.